Hello, friends. James Stevenson back with your weekly subscriber exclusive episode of James and Loki's Gems of the Week. Your exclusive weekly episode where Loki and I walk through all the gems we liked on Axo the previous week and talk about why we liked them. Let's jump right into it. If you like posts by Cern Basher and Brian White, you're going to see more of them this week. I liked some last week, and I liked more this week. Those are the last two we saw last week. Here's the next post I liked. It's from an account I couldn't have told you I liked at MNMCSOFGP. I couldn't tell you what that stands for. Uh, your guess is as good as mine. Let's click through and get the context of why I would like this post. It's from Steve Jurvetson. The Q3 launch report just came out. For kilograms launched to orbit, SpaceX has 97% share for the US and 83% globally. The 8 Chinese launchers add up to 8.6%. Looking into the graph's magnifying box, IDF just nudged past Rocket Lab. 97% of the US, 83% globally. So the 83% plus the 8.6% makes up more than 91%. All right, and then everybody else is the rest of the world. Let's take a look at the chart. Because we like charts. People who follow me like charts. I'm glad I didn't have to make this chart. It looks like it was a lot of research and effort trying to get everybody who launches stuff into orbit, and I like the way they expanded this box over here to show you, hey, some of these are pretty close to each other. Landspace and Indian Space Research Organization, 2,000 kilograms to orbit each. But that's still very small compared to SpaceX. SpaceX launched over 500,000 kilograms to orbit, so that's pretty good. What was the reply that I liked? I hope they keep the tradition of having a kids' table magnified view. It'll be pretty funny in the next 5 to 10 years, depending on how Starship ramps. Oh man. Yeah, everyone will be in the kids' table once SpaceX has Starship delivering payload to orbit because it can carry so much more. If you want to know how much more, follow somebody who follows SpaceX closer than I do. I couldn't tell you from memory. Here's one from Tesla Europe and Middle East at Tesla Europe. With over a month left, we've now broken an almost decade-long record by becoming the brand with the most vehicles registered in a single year in Norway. Only needed 11 months to do it. Posted November 25th. Not even 11 months. To break the annual record for any year. That's pretty good. So Norway is leading the world's transition to electric vehicles, and China is also doing pretty well. Here's Alexandra Mertz. I was the only person to like this, so I know it's a gem that you didn't see. Oh, it's exclusive to my subscribers. Maybe you saw it but didn't like it. It's replying to my Thanksgiving weekend James's Gems of the Week post. I broke out in my autumn sweater. I'm wearing just a plain space gray t-shirt today. Love your high praise for Tesla Boomer Mama famous chart, the one with the Altman Z-score on it. I've loved it too. I replied, I may have played a minor role in getting her to add Altman Z-score to her table. And Alexandra replied, you sure did, because that was my idea. I was trying to be humble about it, but now that we're talking about that, I thought it would be a good thing to add to that chart because sometimes Tesla is the #1 company by Altman Z-score. I think it was at the time that I suggested it, beating companies like Google that have no excuse. What is your excuse, Google or Facebook? Your cash flows are enormous and you have no physical product to sell. You have no cost of goods sold. Why do you have debt? You shouldn't have debt. Your Altman Z-score will be infinite if you have no debt. That's all you have to do. Here's one from Kyle at Kyle Cool Kai. And why would your score be infinite if you had no debt? Because Altman Z-score is a measure of default risk. your risk of default is 0 if you don't have any debt. You can't default on debt that doesn't exist. That is a fact. And I've heard it articulated by Dr. Edward Altman, the professor who single-handedly created Altman's Z-score. Sometimes you wonder, hey, was it an honorific that somebody named it after somebody else, or was somebody so egotistical as to give themselves all the credit? Well, Dr. Edward Altman did give himself all the credit because no one else worked on the project, only him. Here's one from Kyle at Kyle Cool Kai. You forgot to add that it also parked at a charger and wasn't plugged in. What are we talking about here? Oh, it's this video from No Safe Words at cyber_trailer. Let's make a list of all the things horribly wrong in this ad. After the women walk away, the video is actually sped up to make it look like the car is not moving at a snail's pace. Even so, it's still moving at a snail's pace, even though the video is sped up. When the car finishes parking, it is actually still blocking the actual lane of traffic, the process of stopping in the lane, getting out, and then having the car parked later, etc. So you can see, if you saw this video of this thing parking itself, imagine how irritated you would be if you were waiting in real time for this thing to park itself because it was blocking the road. And then the reply that I liked was the reply that mentioned the thing that irritated me the most about this that wasn't mentioned in that long post, which is it's not plugged in, but it's taking up a charging bay, right? I don't know how many places there are to charge in total because it doesn't pan around and show you the total count of chargers, but this vehicle parking itself blocked one and didn't plug in. So there's that one that we saw already. Let's scroll the proper direction up the thread, not down the thread, to see one from Holmar's catalog that I liked. You'll never guess who showed up to my court hearing after Zoom last month against my cyberstalker Aaron Jacob Greenspan. It was CNBC journalist Laura Kolodny. So you can pause and read through this if you want. Just know that when you see FUD stories reported on Tesla that are fake news, or that are mischaracterizations, or that are exaggerated, sometimes they're coming from Tesla short sellers literally tipping off journalists. Hey, there's news happening. I spotted this thing that you can report on that'll get a lot of clicks. They're getting their stories from literal Tesla short sellers. That's where the FUD comes from. Here's one from Bradford Ferguson at Brad S. Ferguson. We believe Musk may sell some Tesla shares. Most people will see Elon sell shares and panic. A few people will understand why paying $15 billion in taxes now is actually the most bullish move possible. The difference is knowing what 83B does. And if you want to know more about that, there's a video and an article from executive producer of this program, Bradford S. Ferguson, that you can read here. Somebody replied saying, hey, James said that Elon doesn't qualify for it because no property has been transferred to him, which is a requirement to file under the 83B election. And I was wrong when I said that. The day that I posted this is the day that Tesla transferred the shares to Elon, or it was the day after, November 11th, maybe. So I think he's got 30 days from the date that the assets transfer. So he's still got another 5 days that he could do this. So if you see a big sell-off in Tesla stock Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, you may suspect that it's Elon selling Tesla shares to pay his tax bill early so that when he earns all of the shares later, he won't have to pay a far larger amount of tax. So, if that happens, don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say Loki didn't warn you, because he was doing his best. I've seen some people say, hey, I'll go back to sharing my desktop before I forget to, as happens sometimes if I'm not careful. I've seen some people speculate that because it didn't happen this week, it won't happen. And I'm not sure that's how the deadline works. Let me know in the comments below if you're absolutely sure when the 30-day period begins, whether it's at the date of the shareholder vote or if it's the date at which the shares were transferred by Tesla to Elon. That's the date that would make more sense to me, but I am not a lawyer. So we're 10 minutes into this video. We're going to keep it rolling after that short hiatus that I paused the video for. Plenty of info to be found in that article and that video from Bradford and Matt Smith. Here's one from Bustle Hedgerows. Shout out to Elon Musk. Thanks to you and a Tesla Model S Plaid, I was able to catch this young guy's attention and become his big brother. He tragically lost his father to drugs when he was just 10 years old. Also, I invested in your company, Tesla, so I'm able to afford a Tesla Model S Plaid and take him on a trip of a lifetime to New York City. He now has a chance for a better life. This would not have happened without you. You have been an inspiration for me to help humanity and change that young man's life. So, good news there. 3 likes on that post from Bustle Hedgerows, who tagged me in the replies there. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt News. Tesla has sold more cars in Norway, which we saw just a minute ago. So that's old news to you at this point. But I liked it when I saw that Sawyer was posting it as well, because more people see his posts than whoever sent the one we saw before. Tesla Europe, which has a lot of followers too. Well, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe Tesla Europe has more followers than Sawyer. Sawyer's got about 1 million, I think. Here's one from Tesla Stars. I was treated to one of the first public demonstrations of the FSD in Europe. Drop the. Just FSD. It's cleaner. Says Justin Timberlake, playing the Napster guy in the Social Network movie, if you're unsure what I'm referencing. This morning in Marignac and Pessac in France, which I'm sure I've slaughtered the pronunciation of. This was version 14.1.7, very flexible driving, perfectly negotiated roundabouts, just 2 small pressures on the accelerator. Unfortunately, not possible in 30 minutes to go to the small streets of downtown Bordeaux. Instead, you will see Chateau Pape Clement. Clement, if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm guaranteed to have mispronounced it at least one of those times now. You do it 2 different ways. They can't both be right. They could both be wrong, though. Sorry if the video moves. I brought my GoPro with tripod, unfortunately not the right to use it without special authorization from Tesla's communications service, but video in hand with iPhone possible. Following a call with Tesla, this is a new version of the video posted this morning without the image or voice of the Tesla employee, who I absolutely do not want to get in trouble. Excellent. So good stuff there from Tesla Stars, so you should follow. Drives a Tesla as a ride-sharing service driver in France, in Bordeaux, I guess. Here's one of those posts I promised you would come from Brian White at Futuraza. If Tesla goes all in on chip fab, as the in-crowd calls it, chip fabrication, the making of computer chips, squanders tens of billions over the next decade and fails, Michael Burry's short thesis could still be wrong. When you don't understand the strengths of your target, you risk getting financially buried. Retweeting me. Retweeting Stephen Mark Ryan with a great video about how Michael Burry is super dumb, referencing my post where I said Michael Burry is super dumb to say that Elon's compensation package guarantees that dilution will continue and that he's short the stock. Now, he didn't say that he was short the stock. He clarified later. But he didn't say he isn't. Short sellers just are very guarded in particular about whether they'll admit that they're shorting. Jim Chanos would play that cat and mouse game. Sometimes he would admit that he was shorting Tesla, and other times he wouldn't. Rodman, I was the only person who liked saying your Jinmoji is too on point. So I guess when you generate your own avatar to make emojis out of, well, let me give you the context here. This was just me saying, hey, there might be a Tesla sell-off in the next 8 days on December 10th. So I guess at that point, I thought the deadline was December 10th, which is still ahead of us as of press time. Chris Dungeon said, hard to envision Elon selling soon after his billion-dollar buy. Well, the billion-dollar buy was before the vote, and it got him more shares to vote in the vote. And it was a good investment if he wanted to buy $1 billion worth of shares then, because they're worth more than $1 billion now. If he needs to sell them, he has made some money as profit before he pays his taxes. So that's good for him. If he knew he was going to have to sell anyway, or if he was planning to sell anyway, there's no reason he wouldn't have bought $1 billion worth of Tesla shares if he thought they were going to go up in the intervening time. So I replied, it's not like he'd be selling to deposit the money into a checking account or buy a boat or invest in something else. He'd be selling to pay taxes, which he has always done when it's time to pay taxes, having no other way to pay taxes. When the IRS says, hey, you have to give us billions of dollars, they don't want to hear the excuse, I don't have billions of dollars in cash. All I have is the paper value of the investments I've made in companies many years ago that have grown to be worth a lot more now than they were then. The IRS says, tough. Sell those investments, turn them into cash, and give all of it to us. And that's what he does when it's time to pay taxes. He doesn't have another way to do it. Now, you could argue that he does have other ways to do it now, that he could borrow against the value of his investments, which is taking out a margin loan. There aren't many people who could take out a $15 billion margin loan, but Elon Musk is one of them. That is not to say that he would want to do that, because it can get you into sticky situations if the stock price falls a lot. You don't want to get wiped out on a margin call. It would take a whole lot of downward pressure on the stock price for him to get margin called on that $15 billion loan. Everybody else on Earth would get the margin call quicker than Elon would. But it's not impossible that he would get totally wiped out, which would be like the greatest fortune reversal in history, bar none. So probably that's not the legacy he wants for himself to be remembered as. Or he could sell SpaceX investment. I don't think he wants to do that either. I think he likes having more than 50% of SpaceX, because then there are never any votes needed at SpaceX. He just gets to tell everybody what to do, and they have to do it because he owns more than half the company. And if anybody wants to organize a shareholder vote, whatever Elon's vote is will be the winning vote, right? So it's pointless, and nobody ever demands a vote. If they IPO and his ownership drops to something like 30%, well, now he does have to worry about getting outvoted by the other 70%. If it just went to ruthless Wall Street hedge funds or investment bankers or whatever, they could all get together and vote him out. I replied, if enough people try it, it's bound to work out well for some of them, right? So, yeah, I did spend some time crafting this Jinmoji to make it look like me. And for a lot of people, those don't work out no matter how well you tweak them. But for me, I mean, when my hair is up in a man bun, I think that's an okay job. It needs to be a little bit more gray here at the bottom of the goatee, but that's a quibble. I'm not sure exists in the settings. Here's one from Matster at MasterT3. Haha, nice mutual assassin compliments. When I posted this, I called Stephen Mark Ryan the friendly assassin. He called me the smiling assassin in his video, so nice call out there from Matster. Here's one from Grok. Based on reports from the incident in Guangzhou's Shaoyuan area, the fire started from a cargo truck leaking oil, which ignited and spread to nearby electric scooters, causing a chain reaction, not initiated by an EV. So combustion, once again, was caused by internal combustion fuel, which is designed to burn. Once again, not really a surprise. So if you saw this story and that people had blamed it on EVs, Grok said it was not based on EVs. Could Grok be hallucinating? Yes. So if you have other information on that fire that it was caused by EVs, let me know. But EVs have a much lower fire risk than combustion engine vehicles have. One of my favorite things to point that out is South Korea halted sales of BMW in 2016, I think, or 2017, because BMW wasn't working hard enough to figure out why BMWs were burning down people's garages and houses in South Korea, in addition to just their BMWs, well parked and unoccupied. So they finally did a recall on a fuel line that was faulty or something, that was causing BMWs, combustion engine BMWs, to spontaneously combust. That's how big a problem it is. South Korea said, hey, you can't sell any more BMWs in our country until you get this problem sorted out. Please stop your BMWs from burning spontaneously. Here's one from James Catt. The finger movement is very impressive. Like this thing has more dexterity than I do. Reposting Sawyer Merritt with a video showing off Optimus version 2.5 at NER IPS 2025, and that's not even version 3 of Optimus. So check out those fingers and hands. That's a good deal that you've got independent movement for that pinky. Elon has talked about how important the pinky is. It's something you don't often think about, but his team must have been explaining that to him, which is why it was on his mind to post about. Here's one from Farzad, WTF, with Tesla Optimus just set a new personal record in the lab for running speed. That's about a 7 mile per hour run, according to some experts online, which is pretty good. And they got a bunch of them lined up over there against the wall. So I would have liked this video more if the rest of the robots had been doing stuff besides just standing there like mannequins. I think it would have been fun to have them teleoperated cheering on the marathon runner here. That would have been cute. Missed opportunity. Humanoid bot Angelist said initial guess is about 5 miles per hour. If it's any faster, then Elon broke his promise. Well, it looks like Elon broke his promise. With the, I stand corrected, using the Optimi in the back as a measuring stick, a 6.5 meter perspective start to finish line is drawn. Oh, so there's the math that'll tell you it's 6.5 miles per hour, which is about 7 miles per hour. I wasn't misinforming you a minute ago with my recollection. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, in a new interview on Elon Musk being the first customer for his next-gen DJX1 GPU 10 years ago. He said, when I announced this thing, nobody in the world wanted it. I had no purchase orders except for Elon.
His full self-driving system. We were basically the FSD computer version 1. And so we're already working together. And when I announced this thing, nobody in the world wanted it. I had no purchase orders, not one. Nobody wanted to buy it. Nobody wanted to be part of it, except for Elon. He was at the event, and we were doing a fireside chat about the future of self-driving cars. I think it's like 2016. Yeah, maybe at that time it was 2015. And he goes, you know what? I have a company that could really use this. And I said, wow, my first customer. And so I was pretty excited about it. And he goes, we have this company. It's a nonprofit company. And all the blood drained out of my face. Yeah. I just spent a few $1 billion building this thing. It cost $300,000. And, you know, the chances of a nonprofit being able to pay for this thing is approximately 0. And he goes, you know, this is it's an AI company, and it's a nonprofit, and we could really use one of these supercomputers. And so
And he was talking about OpenAI. You can watch the rest of the video on your own time. I realize a bunch of you probably saw it already, so I'll keep moving. Here's one from Ray at Ray4Tesla. Chinese neo-influencer Dong Mai Mai recently flew from China to California to try FSD 14.1. He was blown away by its capabilities. Here's a scenario he shared where FSD waited behind a car by the garage ticket dispenser, and then FSD decided to back out and switch to the empty lane. That's pretty cool. If the guy in front of you is stopped, go around him. That is what FSD says. So good video there. Here's one from Edward Johnson at Edward Alerts. If Tesla stock Tesla hits $500 this month, it's always curious to me where people decide to put the hashtag Tesla in their tweet. Like, sometimes I'll just put it all the way at the end, or like I'll tag Elon and then I'll put the hashtag after Elon's name if there's no better place to put it. I don't think I've ever put it like that. That's a weird placement. I will give a brand new Cybertruck to one person who likes this post. Well, I would like a brand new Cybertruck, and I've never heard of Edward Johnson before at Edward Alerts, and this is probably one of those one-armed Dennis Clark situations. You got to be a real OG to know what I'm referencing there. There was a fake account on X, on Twitter. It was Twitter at the time, in, I guess, 2018, who was following Dr. Earl Banning, Earl of Frunkpuppy, at 28 Delays Later. You may know him as any of those identities. And promised to buy him a Model X. And Earl always took a generous helping of skepticism concerning that promise. But of course, Earl ended up having to buy his own Model X when one-armed Dennis Clark, alternating one-armed Dennis Clark, sometimes it would be the missing right arm, and sometimes it would be the missing left arm, and sometimes it would be a missing leg. It was a very curious fake account on Twitter that owned a coffee plantation in Hawaii, supposedly. Just made this long list of outrageous lies on Twitter that you had to really be following them to keep a long list going of. Somebody made a map one time of what his coffee plantation in Hawaii would look like if it had all the things on it that he had claimed to possess. Here's one from Jeff Lutz. They made 100 in production in 18 years. Yeah. So this is from Linus Eckenstam. Let me reiterate, Honda Asimo was running already 18 years ago. So this is playing down Tesla's achievement in making their Optimus robot run by showing this pre-programmed series of actuator movements on a successful attempt on perfectly flat ground. So that's just what, it's a toy that Honda made that could walk if it was programmed to actuate its motors in a particular sequence, like marching out on stage, like that. 3-foot-tall robot. Never did any useful work for anybody, to my knowledge. I also replied, somewhere there will be a reply from me, and that's why I don't have to do any housework. My Honda Asimo runs around the house doing everything for me. Said nobody ever. I feel like I deserve more likes than 134 on this original post that got 773,000 views, but I guess there were so many people dunking on Linus in the replies. Not a lot of people saw my reply. And I got in late, too. I didn't get in early. That's key for getting a lot of engagement on a reply. You got to get there quick. Here's one from Futuraza. If there was a $600 feature you could install at home to make your gasoline for 20 to 40 cents per gallon, they'd sell millions in the first year. We have that. That's what our EVs run on. How is this not bigger news? Well, I've tried getting the message out there many times over the years that that's the situation. It's like paying a service to come out to your house every night and top off your tank is how I've described it. earlier. If that were a thing that you could buy, and if it cost you less than going to gas stations, would you do it? Of course you would if you're driving a gasoline-powered vehicle. But somehow people don't get it when it's an EV that you plug in at home. They worry about range anxiety, even though there are Tesla superchargers everywhere you want to go, and electricity everywhere else. You bring your mobile connector with you and fill it up overnight. Here's one from Sergi Salas. Tesla's FSD has become a level 3 autonomous driving system. Tesla hasn't announced it yet, and it will be hard to explain it to a police officer, but from the moment Tesla allows FSD to operate while Omar plays with his phone or reads a book or sleeps, etc., without needing to pay attention to the surroundings, it means that it's confident enough in its system to not require continuous attention and an immediate reaction from the passenger in the left seat, previously the driver. Tagging a bunch of people here, including me, with video of somebody texting while driving in a Tesla. Now, this person has done it the right way. You don't see their attention is off the road in this video. I saw a different video by somebody where clearly he couldn't see the road from his sitting position, except when he was nagged by the system to look at the road, and then he just looked up for a second and then right back to his phone. Don't do that, friends. Keep paying attention to the road. You don't want to become a statistic. Accidents that only happen 0.1% of the time happen daily to 1 out of every 1,000 people, right? So if you've got a 99.9% safe anything, 1 out of every 1,000 people using it will have an accident with it, right? So be vigilant, abide by the laws in your state. If they say you should pay attention to driving, pay attention while driving. You are still responsible for the safe operation of your vehicle. Here's one from Warren Redlick. They start with taunts, they turn to violence. Tim taunted Tesla. Followers turn to violence against Tesla. That's true. And what's this guy saying?
How these things go. They start with taunts, they turn to violence. So,
yeah. So I replied to that, saying, what kind of half-wit unwittingly whittles away their own game plan? That is kind of what he gave away. He gave away the plot with that statement. That is how he motivates his followers to violence. Here's one from Cern Basher. No, it just deducts from more money from your bank account to simulate the extra gas you would have burned. Replying to Sawyer Merritt, with news that Porsche will reportedly add fake gear shifts to its EV, starting with the 2027 Taycan. Porsche calls it a virtual transmission. You'll be able to use paddle shifters behind the steering wheel to shift. The goal is to create a more engaging drive. So this Porsche EV is a single gear Porsche, to my knowledge. There's no gear shifting involved. It's same as with a Tesla. You're either in drive, or you're in neutral, or you're in park, or you're in reverse. There are no gears to shift through while driving, while propagating forwards in your vehicle. I replied, does pressing the paddle shifter buttons at least play vroom vroom sounds through the audio system? Thinking that I was joking. And Cern Basher says it deducts the extra money from your bank account that you would have burned vrooming your engine, which is a funny idea. Sawyer replied, I think they will be adding sound effects. So I replied, every year real life gets more indistinguishable from parody. It's hard out here for a parodist to come up with something more ridiculous than what they're actually doing. So what do we know happened here? We know Porsche got feedback from Porsche buyers that they don't want to buy the EV because it doesn't have paddle shifters. People who get in their Porsche want to see them using paddle shifters. They think that's the cool thing that a car ought to have. So Porsche is going to put fake paddle shifters in to be able to sell more EVs. That's very funny. You could educate your customer, or you could pander to them. And Porsche has chosen the path of pandering. Here's one from Warren Redlick. We shall no longer call Tim Waltz names. Henceforth, he shall be known as not a half-wit, not a quarter-wit. No, my friends. He shall be known as a 16th wit. With my reply here, you saw this post. Douglas Decker replied, a quarter-wit? I would go one more multiplication of a quarter. A quarter times a quarter is a 16th by my math. Here's one from Alan Dale. They very clearly explain the blue check mark to anyone who clicks on the link. The explanation is here. With the Peter Haig post about the EU fining X over not being transparent enough on what the blue check mark means. So Peter Haig captioned it, no, blue checks are not mislabels. Notice how, as a government official, you get a gray one, and the research the EU wants done is basically dragnet surveillance for wrongthink in order to maintain Europe's new managed democracy. What did they say? They said the blue check mark does not correspond to industry practice and deceives users, since anyone can subscribe to obtain such a verified status. It negatively affects users' ability to make free and informed decisions. No, it does not. EU, get yourself together. So, did this fine come out pre-Elon? No. How did blue check marks work pre-Elon? It was a crony club of supposedly important or influential people, but they were handpicked by people at Twitter who were very heavily influenced by government officials worldwide. If you were any kind of government official, you could just talk to your contact at Twitter and say, hey, I want a blue verified check mark on this account whose tweets I support. I think they need a blue check mark. And then Twitter would give them one. And there was no transparency behind how they determined whether somebody was noteworthy or not. But Alan Dale is saying they very clearly explain the blue check mark to anyone who clicks on one. The explanation is right here. And I will drag this over so you can see he's not providing a fake link. X does tell you how to get a blue check mark. This is what the blue check mark means. The account has an active subscription to X Premium and meets our eligibility requirements. Here are the criteria. You must have a display name and a profile photo. Your account must be active in the past 30 days. Your account must have a confirmed phone number. Your account must not be deceptive. No recent changes to your profile photo, display name, or handle. Your account must have no signs of being misleading or deceptive, and no signs of engaging in platform manipulation. If you can do all those things, you get a blue check mark from X. They're telling you how their policy works. So the EU is full of hot air, as usual, with their fines. Here's one from Sean at Sean_Infinity. Didn't recognize Lex at first, fixed it. Now, you probably can't tell what has been AI generated about this photo until I scroll up to show you the original, actual photo from Phil Truby at P. Truby. Look who I found driving the driving sim at the Tesla booth. Those among you who are observant or who have watched a lot of Lex Friedman podcasts, he's interviewed Elon a few times, will find it as strange as Sean and I did to see him wearing a black t-shirt. He looks like he's a Tesla employee working the booth, is what he looks like. Tesla employees are always wearing short-sleeve black t-shirts with something on them. This is how we're used to seeing Lex look, like an assassin. He dresses like an assassin exactly the same way, in the same button-down long-sleeve shirt and tie and coat. For all of his interviews, he gives every guest the same respect with how he dresses. Here's one from Chuck Cook at Chazman. Tesla just released the contents of an upcoming holiday update. My favorite addition is the driving state shown in the dashcam. So you can tell in the dashcam whether self-driving was activated or not. That's great. It's been missing for a long time. Finally, Tesla is putting that in. And the last post that I liked this week came from Herbert Ong at Herbert Ong. That's our queen, Tesla Boomer Mama. I will play you this clip because it isn't very long. I reposted it yesterday because I was watching the whole video and found this to be a very entertaining clip.
But it is true. We should actually tell the whole world. Only
Yes.
dumb people buy dumb cars. And actually his current dumb car, which is a Volvo, I don't know what it is, will devalue very quickly. The sooner he gets rid of it, the better. You have
Yeah,
to sell your
get it
dumb
off your
cars
hands.
now while there's still dumb people buying dumb cars, because this is going to be over.
There you go. So that was just 1 minute of the very long episode featuring all 4 of those great folks. I replied, having an opinion is a good thing. And the link to the video is here in the replies with 18 likes on it. So there you go. That's my video. So with that, I will check back in with Loki, who is still curled up in bed snoozing. It is going to be my 41-minute video for the 2nd week in a row by the time I'm done outroing by thanking you. I appreciate each and every one of you. You are what makes this channel possible. Don't forget to give the video a like. That'll recommend it to others who subscribe to me like you did. And a special shout out, as always, to my executive producers, Kenty Kitchler and Rebellionaire.com, and I'll see you in the next one.